what's up, everybody? This your girl Cece with WIB Magazine, and I have my co-host on the line with me, Mickey Monday. Hi, Mickey Monday. How are you today?
Doing pretty good, just cooling out, chilling.
Okay, happy Tuesday.
Yes, happy Tuesday to you as well.
Thank you. Well, we have a special guest on the line with us. Hi, Queenie. How are you today?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. Can you tell the audience who you are and where you're from?
Oh, most definitely. So my name is Queenie, or Aviator's Queenie. I am from Washington, D.C., born, raised, grown, produced, developed, everything. I am a artist, music artist, as well as a label head of Unexpected Originals music label here in D.C. So an indie music label, for sure.
Okay. How did you even come up with that name?
Well, I've been involved in music, like as far as the public scene, for about 10 to 12 years now. And one of my favorite bands that I've ever worked with in the past was called Unexpected. And so by the time I decided to do like publishing for my band, which was, my music group when we started studio work, the Aviators Club, which I still use that name. Unexpected Originals was the publishing company name that we came up with. And so when I decided to transition to an indie label, that's what we decided with. Yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. So to talk a little bit more about some of your previous work, do you want to tell some of our viewers about your, how you pretty much got to this point? Because I know you were with a band at some point too. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've been with several bands. That's what got me started with my love of music. Well, not my love of music. Let me back up. With writing and performing in public. You know how there's like a big transition sometimes between a person who writes in their room, sings to themselves, and then decides, I'm going to sing in front of people. So that transition occurred like college. I guess the first time I sung in front of a group of people. And then I would say the writing part came along. I had a friend who I did not know was a producer, and he gave me a CD and was like, listen to this, see if you can, you listen to music, you write poetry. And I'm like, I don't write songs. And then listening to that formulated the thought process that I have as Queenie, like when it comes to writing music. Then all of a sudden I would go listen to live music, because, in DC it's nothing but music, nothing but artists, talented people. Mm-hmm. And so I would go to different events and I would hear a band. And I think it was one time a band was like, who knows this song type of scenario. And I'm like, I know it. And then I got on stage and the guy gave me the mic. And I guess he thought that, it's DC. You cannot give anybody a microphone in DC because everybody can sing. So sung the song, the crowd was really into it. And then after that, I started with that band, like In the Cut. Was like a jazz, like R&B band. Then I was with a go-go band that was called GOT. Then that transitioned into O Street. Then the Aviators Club was like when we tried the studio style. So it's been a nice transition into the being an artist, like a solo artist or a group artist. Came from bands, and then the record label part came from the bands, seeing that there are a lot of talented young people in the area who, they're doing the same thing. They're writing in their room, they're recording their own stuff, and they're formulating what will be their actual brand, when you can see the potential in a specific set of young people. So that's how we've transitioned from singing in the room to record label head.
Awesome. Wow. Okay.
So just kind of moving things along and, focusing in on your label. Can you tell us more about what was Unexpected Originals?
Yes. So Unexpected Originals, right now we have about 6 artists. So there's my own group, the Aviators Club, which everything's in-house too within the label itself. So the producers, the writers, the performers, the videographers, the graphic designers, the photographers, everything is within that label. That's the way I kind of wanted it to be built, because when you start going outside, you know, you don't get the quality kind of goes down. Not knocking how other people do things, but the more your hands are on your work, the better you'll find your work will be. So the artists would be, I have a lot of them are extremely talented young people. Kevin Exclusives, he's definitely one-stop shop. He produces his own stuff, sings his own stuff, mixes most of his own stuff. He's kind of like a pop Prince, so to speak. There's Jay Chris, he's a very talented rapper and singer, writes his own things. We curate the music for him according to his style and what he likes. JM, who is like the Bryson Tiller, I guess, of the overall label. He's a young guy, very soulful, classically trained in chorus. He beat out, you know, Maryland has their own state choir. And I think you have to beat like 1,500 people. And he was one of the people who got in that choir. They only get 200. So extremely talented. I have a couple of young ones too. I have a group called MOVA, 3 actually sisters, a set of twins and then their older sister. Their name is inspired from their background, which is Trinidad. Very good group. We're trying to get them to start writing though. Right now, you know, we just feed them the information and then they execute wonderfully. The Aviators Club is pretty much, if you join Unexpected Originals, you are still underneath the umbrella of the Aviators Club, which was designed to be like a conglomerate of artists. So that way, everybody, you know, you get that familial relationship developed. So where if we're writing together, we're producing together, then you'll see how overall it like builds a stronger unit. So nobody's like dangling out there by themselves. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Oh, we have a young girl, Danny J, still in the developing stages. And recently, I just spoke with another artist. She's from the band era like myself. I think they're called Soul Connection, but she wants to venture into studio work. And she has like this Jill Scott, like motherly thing going on. And I really want to like lay hands on her because it's that old school neo soul feel. That's in the making. Yeah, see, I got you right. Yes, we need that, right?
Yes. Wow. I was going to ask, while you're talking about your artists, how do you pick your artists? How do you find that talent? Or what do you look for in that artist with their talents?
Right. So you have a lot of people who do want to, I guess, be in some type of limelight, or I'm really focusing on the nerdy artists. Like if I can see from your social media or through your peer group and through social media that you're writing all the time, or you're making music all the time, meaning nobody is really probing you. Self-starters, like all of these people figure out how to do their craft on their own and they're working on it. And all they need is somebody with some knowledge on, well, this is how you register. This is how you get your production royalties. And this is how that's all you need is that type of push. That's how I end up looking for them. Most of the time they're young, because a lot of people, you know, my own age, like our age group, they're kind of stuck in a specific lane that they're trying to travel to get from A to B. And I'm just kind of fortunate to see it's a bunch of different lanes that you can be in to get to the same conclusion.
Okay. And do they all have to be in the same area, or they can be all over the world?
So a lot of the people that I meant, well, a lot of the titles that I mentioned earlier are pretty much all, like we have a producer that's in Trinidad, especially with the Zoom and all this other stuff. You don't even, the music industry has changed where you don't even have to go to New York or LA. You could just be wherever. And there are a lot of apps that help you to focus in that way. So, you know, when you have a person, you know, over here and a person in Virginia and a person in New York and a person in LA, and you can still do studio quality work, that's pretty much how we've been operating since we started.
Okay. Back to you, Mickey Monday.
Of course. So one thing that I was kind of just mulling around as you were talking is with all these artists on your label, all these talented artists on your label, excuse me, how difficult do you find it, or I would say how do you help these artists kind of find their sounds? Because a lot of artists at their younger years or in the early stages of their career, they're, you know, trying to mold their sound. So what are some of the steps that you take to make sure that they're developing themselves and finding their sound, to make sure that they're not, you know, comparing themselves to an artist like, let's just say like Summer Walker or like Willow Smith, or, you know, when people
Right.
compare artists to another artist,
Mhm.
like what are the steps that you're taking as the label head to ensure that these artists are finding their own way and are crafting their own sound?
Right. That's a really good question, Mickey. So we do actually, because I try to keep everything in house. We do artist development. So we have those conversations with everyone in the beginning. So remember, when I'm looking at the talent and I'm picking, okay, this self-starter is always a huge requirement. Some kind of like something in me sometimes also picks. You can always tell, especially when they're young, you can always tell when they're mimicking someone else,
Right.
right? Where they're mimicking someone else when, now I do have a few artists who do mimic, but the mimicking is very minimal. They might mimic a feeling from an artist that they can evoke in someone else. But what we do is we do artist development, and we do that through having one-on-one conversations. I talk to each and every artist myself, and we have these like health checks, and we have these discussions on where they want to be and how they plan on getting there. And I really, in these conversations, I'm a nerd, so I take notes. And I take notes of the genuineness in the conversation. And then when we start talking about, well, put this out this week on your social media, or don't put this out, hold this back, or do this type of video next week. I try to make sure, I'm not gonna say I'm, puppeteering anyone, but I try to make sure that their genuine personality shows first, so that people don't try to get them confused or mix them up with anyone else. And so that's how you get rid of the cookie cutter style artists coming out. And again, being in this area in DC, all of the actual performers are in DC, are in the DC area, DMV area. So it's easy for me to kind of, they have a lot of influences that they see. And DC is a very unique place. You're not going to find the same thing here as you would maybe where people are trying to make it big, like LA, cookie cutter, like mimicking different people's style of dress, the way they speak, even the way they write. Sometimes you have those cliche lines that get included. I'll hear something like that in a session and be like, let's try to reword, or let's try to get to the point of what you're trying to say. So hopefully that's kind of like answering your question, how to get rid of. Okay.
Absolutely. That was really good. I tried to throw you a curveball, but
Oh.
you handled it pretty well.
And she got it right. She was right on it.
She was. So just now moving on to you as an artist, and you said you've been in the game for quite some time and worked with a bunch of different bands and things like that. But do you have a particular artist that you would like to work with? Like, if you could just choose an artist in the entertainment industry, whether rapper, singer, producer, whoever, like, who would you choose to make that ideal song with?
I'm probably going to make a lot of people upset, but I'm going to say this. Of course, my like all-time favorite person just to listen to hum would be like Jasmine Sullivan. Okay. But Brandy is known as the vocal Bible. And the thing with Brandy is, like, I consider myself a songwriter singer. So I put songwriter first because I feel like that's where some of my skills lie. I would love to get my hands on somebody like Brandy. Like, I feel like she's extremely popular. Her vocal range is ridiculous. Her style of like harmonizing and stacking is beautiful, but I feel like she gets the wrong writer. So where's everybody at that's gonna like kill me right now? I feel like she.
But that's real. That's real though.
Yeah, but yeah, that is.
In this industry, being popular like her is, I don't want to say easy because I know that's very difficult to maintain. I'm very sure it's difficult to maintain, but with her ability, her natural talent, I feel like she should be like Beyonce level, where every time we think you're about to hum, everybody's taking notice instead of, oh, Brandy's doing something? That's nice. You know what I mean? But she has a huge following, and she's somebody I would love to personally work with. Yeah.
Yeah. I know Brandy was at the height of her career, and then I think she had like a really bad car accident, and I think someone that passed away due to the car accident. Like from that moment, it just things kind of just trailed off her. But I would love to see her do something.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and she recently, that new she just has a new song. I don't, is it Baby Mama or something like that? But it's really good. But it could be, it's like I think that it could be a personal thing too. Like she gravitates to some of the same producers, of her style. And I feel like if she maybe got even a younger, not even me, even somebody even younger with a fresh look on her approach, I think, she could really like recreate herself. Not that she needs to. She's Brandy. So
She's
Right.
already a legend.
no
Right.
more improvement, but it's just like I would just like to see something different,
Yeah, absolutely.
And while you're talking about different, I wanted to ask you, what do you think would be something different that we need in the music industry right now?
Ooh, sometimes the best creation is a recreation. R&B, that's my favorite genre. R&B soul is my favorite because it makes people feel things. I think if we could stick with, we've already gone through like, what do you call it? Hybrid versions of different genres, where you have your rock country, or you have your alternative hip hop sound. And I think since that's kind of been done, really visiting some new elements as far as maybe background sounds. A lot of things are done like through production. I don't know how much you guys are familiar with people who actually like produce music, but I feel like we're missing more of so coming from the band perspective, what I like is when you go to a live show, it's a song you're familiar with, but now certain instruments are sticking out in your mind. And the reason is because they're actually being played before your ears. Where when you hear a studio thing, it is a loop that may throw in a few little nuances as the loop continues. But live music has that feel, because if I'm drumming for you and you hitting a certain note, that's going to prompt me to with my, my bass pedal, or that's going to prompt. So that's the type of feel I think if that was included in music more on top of, trap beats or Baltimore club mixes or whatever the genre is going to be, I think that would take music even further. It's an old school trick, but it's new, if that makes sense.
I got you. Well, I like to ask all of our interviewers with us. I always like to can you give us a fun fact about yourself?
Fun fact.
Maybe something that people don't know that you do, or like some people have other hobbies outside of their music hobbies that we don't know about.
I have probably a very long list. So poetry, that's what I've been visiting on my personal Instagram, is the poetry, because I used to go from place to place in DC and do my poetry, like, I don't want to date myself, 2000, something like that. Poetry, I'm a painter, artistically and like, construction wise. I do volunteer construction work before COVID-19. I do electrical. What else? Hair, nails. My husband is a new fashion designer in the area, and I do actually, like, this is how I've gotten good with social media. I do like the social media management and analysis, and I'm kind of like the business developer for his specific brand. So those are all things behind the scenes that I don't even talk about, none of this stuff. There's still people who don't even know I run a label, so.
Wow. Well, you have a lot of trades.
Right. And this quarantine has helped with some and hindered others. So
I just started doing poetry. I'm trying to learn it, and I'm enjoying it so far. So I'm making assignments every week for myself and pick a topic, and I'm actually enjoying it. So that might be something that you'll be seeing me post too.
So this week, what topic did you give yourself? Or have you started just Tuesday?
It's Journey.
Journey.
Mhm.
I'm gonna be looking out if you put something up. Is poetry because you're in Georgia, right?
Yes.
So how are they with that? Are they getting away from are they heavy with that poetry?
Well, I joined a couple of groups here that's in it, and I have been to some, but I'm not sure how big it is.
Okay.
But now that I'm more getting into it, I'm starting to see more since I'm being in the groups and stuff like that. So we'll see, and I'll let you know.
I'm gonna say, Cece, take a trip to DC because I mean now the stuff is opening back up. Well, actually, I don't gotta take a trip nowhere now. Everything you can do on social media. Go live and try to get some people from this area. They love spoken word. You know, any.
I know I'm from DC. I'm from DC, so. So I will be, once everything is good, I will be coming home to visit.
Okay.
Home, so yeah.
Man, that's dope. All right, well, much success to you for sure. And I know we had mentioned this off camera, but Mickey, make sure you finish that song, man.
Oh yeah, I will. I definitely will. The people are fiending for it. They heard the demo version, and everybody's asking me when I'm putting it out.
Yeah.
So, but just to kind of focus the light back on you really quick. I know there's a big trend upwards for places like IGTV and IG Live and even Twitch. That's a really big market for consumers to kind of get in touch with artists while they're in quarantine or not able to go out and perform shows live. So my question to you would be would you consider, or do you have anything in the future where you might be doing something live, maybe whether it be on Instagram or maybe even Twitch? Because like I said, that's a huge platform, and a lot of people come up on that platform. So can we expect anything of that nature from you or from your label, at all either?
Yeah, for sure. So we're living in a Zoom society, IG Live, all those things you mentioned. And as a nerd, like I mentioned before, I do all of the research. So my whole thing is, okay, if I do, what I really want to do is like some type of social concert. But a concert through social media or just through the phone is very difficult because it's a certain way you have to arrange it from the research, right? If I want you to watch me perform 3-4 songs and then go to the next artist, I don't want you to put your phone down and go to the kitchen and come back and, just because you can hear me. I need you staring at your phone screen, right? Which means I got to have something going on in the background, or either my back, whatever you're looking at with me on top has to be capturing you. And of course I have to sound good, which is not too bad of a problem. But that's where I am right now. So I want to do a concert with UO Label where it's like a feature, like watching a little feature film where you're getting to know each person one layer at a time. And as they're performing, they're keeping your attention either because the background's moving, they're moving, doing something different. We've been really experimenting with, I know you've seen those virtual backgrounds. So the virtual background, the way it works is it focuses on a specific color. And if you touch anything in the background, even yourself, like your body, your skin tone, you can now make your skin tone that virtual background if you want. So we're playing around with all of these different ideas just so we can put the concert feel together. To do it through like Zoom, you have to have several hosts, a person who controls the audience, a person who's engaging the audience, and a person who's controlling like the music in between. It cannot be any dull moment. So it's coming. I'm thinking maybe August 1st or July sometime. Not this month because we're still in the planning phase, but it is definitely, that's what we're trying to do. We want it to be better than just my wall background and me shooby-doo-wop, So.
That seems like that's gonna be dope.
Hey, that's what we're hoping for. So the thing is if you do it through IG Live, sometimes they have restrictions even for your own music where they'll try to cut you off. Have you noticed that with certain DJs? So the algorithm has been catching that, and I don't want it to accidentally catch us as we're doing it, our own songs. When you do it through Zoom, it's cool because you can control your audience, but then you're not reaching a bigger audience, you know, unless people say, oh, look, here's the code to this, you know, quickly dial in. But I just did a Zoom. Well, not did a Zoom. I was an audience member of this concert. What day was that? Saturday. And there were like 800 devices in this Zoom.
Wow.
And I was watching the progression of people staying, people leaving, and because let's say if I did it for the label, right? I have right now 6 artists. Would I keep myself in front of the camera for a whole 20 minutes? It seemed the way that they did it was they broke it up. So if they rotated each artist so that all of these different sounds could be heard, which didn't really give you the opportunity to walk away from your device because you're like, oh, who's next? After each song or whatever the performance was. So that's one of the formulas I think I might try to adapt for us. So that, you know, if one of my artists listeners come to watch them specifically, they got to stay the whole time because he's coming back again and again and again. So that's how you got to play all these angles with social media.
Okay.
We'll definitely.
Mickey Money, you have any other questions before we go into our trivia?
Yeah, one more question. I was gonna say we'll definitely, you know, stay posted for that. So we'll be on the lookout for that for sure. But then just you again as personal artist, you know, because I want to make sure that we get you as well. We want Queenie.
Right.
We want Queenie too, you know. I know you the whole package, but we want to know what you got going on. So what future projects do you have in the works? Because you know we halfway through the year now, and you know,
so the Aviators Club. All right, what I'm working on now. Remember, I told you the Aviators Club is like a big umbrella with everybody underneath. So I have an EP that I'm trying to finish. Have done for July release. I've been doing some different stuff. Like recently I released a song called We. When as soon as you hear We, it sounds like a protester song because it's like boom, 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 but not actually have like you know, a bunch of different layers of people shouting or chanting the same thing. That's a totally different style for me as Aviators Queenie or for the Aviators Club. We're typically always like pop sounding with like really relaxed driving music, but you know, like a bop pretty much. That's the only term I can think of right now. That's typically how, but lately I've been playing around with my vocals a lot, trying to make it sound really like airy. And then sometimes, you know, I have a deep singing voice, but I typically don't sing so maturely in my albums for a reason, because I'm trying to grab bigger audience. You know, I don't want to stick with the lettucey people over here, you know, that type of style. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm playing around with a little bit of some trap beats too. Okay. So yeah, because we don't have a lot of, you know, the Aviators Club doesn't have a lot of straight dance or straight club sound and trappy music. So I want to try that with this. And I have a song coming out called Android, which has 2 parts to it. So the first part is very futuristic. It's super weird. And the second part is it brings in this trap beat so nice. As a matter of fact, do y'all like exclusives?
Do we like what now?
Exclusives.
Oh yes, we do. So please give it to it.
All right. So this is let me pull it up real quick. So this is like after it gets out of the futuristic sound, this is kind of like how the trap beat is gonna go. And I'm not gonna sing, I'm just gonna play the music part of it, but let's see if you can hear this. I don't know what you guys think, but this is kind of like the direction that I'm going with. A very surprising. It's going to transition into that, and it's going to be called Android. So
yeah, that was really fresh.
That was. I like it. Well, we're gonna go into the trivia question. So my trivia question for you is, if you had to mentor Well, one of these three ladies will be
Okay.
your mentor for one day. Who would you choose? Brandy, Jill Scott, and Erica Badu. Which one would you want to mentor you?
Erica, definitely. I would choose Erica because she has managed to, she's been true to herself from jump, like as far as her when she first stepped on the scene, and she's continued to recreate herself. She's a really good writer. She picks perfect music, and as a performer, you will never see another female right now as unique as her performances. Other maybe Janelle Monáe, but she's still new, so she's been doing it for a long time.
Okay. Well, I know our time is running out. Mickey Monday, did you have anything before we ask her do the closing?
Yeah, I'm just gonna ask her a quick trivia question. So mine is, if you can be guaranteed one thing in life besides money, like what would that be?
If I could be guaranteed, this is gonna be so cliche, but let me make it cliche by looking in the camera. Okay. It would have to be love. I would want to be guaranteed that to feel love and to be giving love would be the one thing that if I could just have that to the end of whenever, that's what I would want.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, I want to say thanks for interviewing with us today.
Thank you guys. This was really fun too.
And before we go, can you tell everybody where they can follow you at? Oh,
yes, please. So the Aviator's Queenie on IG, AviatorsQueenie. And then there's UO Music Label. So those are the two places, Aviator's Queenie, UO for Unexpected Originals Music Label.
Okay. Well, congrats on everything you're doing. And I definitely share that portrait with you. Thanks again.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna look out for it.
Yes. Okay. We'll definitely keep in touch.
Okay.
Because I still have some projects I want to run by you too. So.
Hey, I'm here, and that's the other thing. I'm not stingy with it. Like, oh no, we gotta have. If I have the time, then it's great.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Well, you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.
All right. Thank you guys.
All right.
Be safe.
Boy, what you know? Rufus boy, let me love boy, what you know?